So we are finally getting to the despair side of things when it comes to Danganronpa 3, and I gotta say, personally, I was probably looking more forward to this than the future side, mainly because when it comes to the cast of Danganronpa 2, I love them like more than the first one because to me, what they did with 2 was they took what made 1 so freaking great and they pretty much stepped their game with it. So that's why I thoroughly enjoy 2 more than 1. And so these characters, to me, I was definitely want to see their backstory a lot more than the future side of things. And for a first episode, like all these like references that we got compared to 2, that right there, which is so damn beautiful. I love the first episode because they pretty much made all of these like references. Even though this right here happened in the past, you can definitely tell that these characters really don't change that much when we see them in 2 because this right here was like when they were really themselves. So that right there was like definitely nice to see. And we even see that the teacher who had died on the future side, we're not done with her yet. We're gonna see her through the despair. And so by them killing her off in the future, that right there was like perfect because at the same time, like I said in my review, when it came to the first episode of the future, this teacher to me, she did come off suspicious, and we learned that the reason why that was because when she saw that when she saw that these kids like the Rena and Despair, when she saw them like on that screen, and she was looking at them, it's like that right there was perfect because we learn now how she was a teacher in the past, and so to me that right there makes a lot of sense because like I said, I like to me I always thought that she came off like kind of fishy, and I thought maybe she might be the traitor if she didn't die, but we learn now that she has a very strong bond because you can tell from watching the first episode of Despair that they'll definitely get attached to her. So that right there did make a lot of sense. And so we see now that after her, like telling us, I mean that she was their teacher. We see now that when she first got assigned to them, we saw Keiko's father, who was the principal, Jin, and then there was this one other teacher who was not only a scout for the school, but he was also a main course teacher. And so this guy, I forgot his name, but we see that in episode 1, he did not play an important role because last night he had did too much drinking, and we could like hear him kind of like vomiting, or obviously something was definitely upset with him. So this guy really didn't play that much of a role, but we see or we learn that apparently someone had recommended that Chiza would be the homeroom teacher for these students, and so we see now that when she went to the class, there were only 4 of them there, and that was Fuyuhiko, that was Hiyoko, Sonya, and Mahiru. And speaking of Mahiru, like right now, I'm trying to remember back when we saw the remnants of despair in the flashback in episode 1 of the future side. Did we see Mahiru? Because I don't recall seeing her. Now I remember seeing everybody else, but I do not recall seeing Mahiru, and I do wonder why that is. Because to me, I do find it like rather strange. But regardless, now we see that Mahiru and Hyoko, pretty much, these two haven't changed compared to the games. Like they were still very close. We have Mikan coming in there like rather late, and then we see that out of nowhere she trips, and then we get that infamous pose of hers that we saw in the first chapter of Danganronpa 2. So that right there was a very nice throwback, but at the same time, I'm still wondering how in the world can someone fall and actually land like that, because this girl is a true like total klutz. Now I get that that right there is nothing but fan service, but at the same time, like strangely enough, it actually does fit her character when she falls like that. And so we see now that Chisa, their new homeroom teacher, she was actually the former super high school level housekeeper, And so to me, that right there was like rather surprising because I didn't think that right there would be her talent. But pretty much where all the students, well, we learned how all the students might not show up. And so she took it upon herself to go get them. And the first one that they went to go get was, what's his name? The team manager, Nikamaru. And so we see now that they went to the guy bathroom. And surprisingly enough, we have Chisa. Who else? We have Sonya and we have Mahiru. They all went into the guy bathroom, which to me was like surprising because we have Hiyoko and Mahiru, staying out. And speaking of Hiyoko, this little girl is still so freaking mean to Mikan. Like, I don't know what she has against her, but to me that's like kind of crazy. But regardless now, like those two stayed outside while we had the other ones looking for Nikamaru. And so out of nowhere, like we see that these tremors were like going on. And so pretty much we soon hear him yelling, and then all you see is like this huge explosion that actually blew like the door of the bathroom off. And we see now how Mahiru and Hiyoko, those two went flying thanks to that door. But we have Chisa protecting, her other students. And so we see now that Nikamaru was like using the bathroom. And this guy took a dump so freaking strong that he actually took out part of the school. That right there blew my freaking mind just seeing that. Like, we can see his footprints on the ground, and we see like the toilet part out was gone, and then you see like this hole in the wall that actually went back even farther. It's like this guy had released a Kamehameha out of his butt, and I was like dying laughing at how funny that was. But at the same time, how was this guy even walking after doing something like that? But next they went to go get Teru, who was in the cafeteria, and we see now that when Sonya was like calling for him, we see him now running out, and this guy is still like a major pervert because he was like flirting with her because Sonya said that she wants a meat dish, and so he was saying, do you like it big, do you like it hot, or do you like it thick? And then we have Chisa, and thank God, she's her teacher because she actually did. Because she was like keeping him in check because she had like tied him up, and we see him now being like hanged up with his arms and legs, tied behind him. And so right now she was like pulling on the ropes, and that right there was like moving him up and down. And so he was like enjoying that. And so right now when she realized that she had got Nekomaru to do it, but I forgot that Teru he's actually bi, and so even when Nekomaru was doing that, he was still enjoying it. And so right now I'm trying to recall like who they got second, but I'm pretty sure that my order will be out of place. But when they got Akane, we saw her now climbing the school like wall, and we see her now going through for the school, and that right there was insane. But they were like luring her down with meat. And we see now that Nekomaru was the one who was like dealing with her, pretty much like in the game, because he was like able to tie her up, and then when it would get Peko, we saw her like in her dojo meditating, but then we see her now grabbing her wooden sword, and we see her now bringing in for attack, but she stopped herself. But we see now that Chisa, she was like able to tell that Peko would not go through with that. So either this girl is like crazy or she got lucky. But we see now Teru had like once again like crossed the line, and we see Chisa out of nowhere grab that wooden sword, because that right there even surprised Peko at the end of that, and we see her now attacking Teru and making him go flying into the wall. And so then they want to get Soda, and we see that he was like working on some kind of like giant mechanical thing, whatever. Like, I don't know what the guy was like working on, but we see now that apparently this guy Soda, he actually smelled pretty bad, because we got Sonya backing up we Sonya will continue to back up, and to me that right there was hilarious. And like at the same time, I did feel kind of bad for him because like even Chisa was like wearing a gas mask when she got close. So this guy really must have like smelled bad after doing all that mechanical work. And so then when they got Gundam, he was like doing some kind of ritual on like a pyramid. And my boy Gundam, because he's actually my favorite male character and Dangan too. And his look for this anime to me, it does throw me off because he's like wearing like a suit or something or their uniform or whatever. But it definitely does not look anywhere close to how this guy looks in Danganronpa too. And so then they went to get, who else was it? That's right, Ibuki. When they went to get her, like we saw her, giving this performance, and apparently this guitar she was using, it was that in a flame store because we saw her like cooking this meat. And so pretty much she was also using that flame to also cook it as well. But apparently not everyone liked her performance, but Chisa did get into a little bit. And so right now, like their last one on the list to get was Nagito, and seeing him like kind of normal looking and not crazy, because that right there is the Nagito I'm used to seeing. Like we have Soda, who's not his biggest fan, because he was saying whenever Nagito is around, something bad always happened to him. And that right there was the case, because we have this truck going out of control, and then we see it actually hit Soda. And so then we have Nagito at the vending machine trying to get a drink out, but apparently it wasn't working. But then out of nowhere, we have this truck hitting it, and that right there had like triggered some kind of like special winning thing where Nagito got all these free sodas. And so pretty much like after that, they had got most of the class, but there were 2 people still missing. And so because of that, we have Chisa going out to get them, but we see that the students, like, they were like going to stay behind because she wanted to clean. And so pretty much like a lot of them, they weren't really feeling that, especially Soda. He was like very vocal. He was very vocal about it. And we see that Chisa pulled out these little short swords that she used to like slam into his desk. And so Chisa is like one of those characters where she can be like really nice, but when she gets mad, she still had that like smile on her face, but she'll be like that real scary kind of mad that you don't even want to see. And so now we have her, leaving to get the other 2. And so we see her now going to like some kind of dorm that seems a bit run down, but she went to get the ultimate imposter because you can tell that's who it is, due to his frame. And so we see that when she was like ringing his doorbell, apparently he thought it was somebody else. But we see now that when he like tried to escape, out the window, she was already there. And so apparently this persona that this guy is using, this right here is the high school, the high school ultimate animator, and you can even see like the question mark by that title. So I do wonder like why this guy doing this and not Byakuya. But then again, this right here happened in the past, which was probably before Byakuya was like even born, or at least not old enough to go to the school just yet. And so I do wonder, why did he pick the ultimate, animator for his persona for this school, where he could have picked, like any other. But I do wonder if we will ever see what exactly the ultimate imposter does look like. I kind of doubt it, even though that right there sucks. But I would just love, even for a glimpse, like we just see like his real face or something, or we could at least learn his real name. But regardless, now she had got him, and she was like forcing him to come along. And so pretty much we saw Hajime, and at first, I forgot this guy was a reserve student because we saw him, like wearing a black suit, but that was the uniform. And so we see now that people were definitely, talking bad about him because we saw his thoughts, or pretty much we learned what the other were saying, and they were just, putting him down because he was paying to go there. And so that right there was like kind of messed up. But then we see someone had actually bumped into him, and that right there was Chiaki. And so right now, I am definitely happy to see her, but I do wonder what did this mean for Danganronpa 2? Because we learned that Chiaki, she was an AI, but right now we see she's a real person. So maybe something will happen, or maybe Chiaki will meet the guy. Like right now, I forgot his name, but maybe Chiaki will meet the one behind, Alter Ego, that real person. And it's possible that those two got close, but the real Chiaki had died, and then maybe that right there, like Alter Ego using his former real memories, this could be why he made the Chiaki AI. But regardless, just seeing her or knowing that she's real now, like that right there is just freaking awesome. And so we see that Chiaki, she had bumped into him because she was like someone to this game, and we have her, like leaving afterwards. But we see that when Hajime brings up the game that she was playing, that right there led them to the talking, and just seeing her interacting once again, that was nice, because we all know if you played Danganronpa 2, Hajime and Chiaki, they had a beautiful friendship in 2. And so seeing that kind of like being made firsthand in the anime, like I freaking applaud that. And so we learn now that Hajime actually played this game like 5 times in a row, but that right there is his limit, where Chiaki, she can play it 10 times in a row, and that right there is definitely impressive. But then we have Chisa, then we have Chisa appearing, and we see now that, like these two were talking, and that's where Chiaki learned about the Berserk course. And we see that, afterwards we have the ultimate imposter, like trying to escape, but this time we have Chisa grabbing him by his leg and dragging him back. And then we see that she wants to go get Chiaki, and we see her carrying her over her shoulders. And so right now, those two have left. And I did feel bad for Hajime, because he was saying how if he had a talent, he'll be like them. He would not be a Berserker student and not get all this hate, because, at first he was thinking that, they'll be, like elitists, but these people, they are really down to earth and also a bit wacky as well. And so right now we see that, like when they were all together. Now, I did notice that they did have one desk empty, and so that right there could only meant for like one person, but we have not seen her just yet. But at the same time, we have Chisa acting like everybody, but we have Chisa acting like everyone was there, even though, everybody wasn't, because if that was the case, why is that empty desk, still there? But regardless now, she was, well, we learned thanks to Gundam that if you have an ultimate talent, you actually don't have to go to class. And to me, that right there is kind of crazy, because, what kind of school is that? Now, I understand that, they are ultimate, they are above normal people, but if this right here is a school to help you, like, advance that talent or whatever, why would you not go to class? But regardless, we have Cheetah saying that, every day she would like go get them if she have to, and that right there would be hilarious. But at the same time, I do hope that right there wouldn't be like the only thing that we see in this anime. With like every episode, like we would see her going around, getting them. Now I understand that right there took up pretty much the entire episode today, but even if they shorten that down some, I still don't want it to be like a running gag. Oh, and I forgot, back when she told them to actually clean, we had Mikan somehow tripping once again and ended up in that same pose. Like, I don't understand how did that happen twice. But pretty much that right there is where the episode ended, where they all got together. And then we see that at the end of the episode, like we saw, like these men like in this round table, and we see, this report on Hajime there, and that right there is actually, the start. Well, that right there is like the beginning where they like make this plan to recreate Uzuku. I mean, what's his name? Izuru. And so right now, Hajime, I definitely feel bad because this right here is definitely going to be hell for him. But oh wait a minute. After school let out, we get this scene where we have Chisa in like the teacher's lounge or whatever, and we see her on the phone with the guy who was close to her on the future side, and we learn now that both of them had went to this school together, which explains a lot because that just explains why they're so close, and we do learn how this guy was the former high school level president, and so I do wonder like once you graduate because both of their titles are now former, but Chisa, she is still a pretty good housemaid because like we saw her wearing the apron. Like I do wonder, do people have like, or do new students have the same talents as graduates? Because to me that right there does make sense, but at the same time that would mean that they could easily like duplicate any talent that seems fit or whatever. But yeah, that right there. But like pretty much where the episode covered everything. Oh, and speaking of which, I do wonder if we will see like that murder that we saw in that game of Dangan 2, where we have Fuyuhiko's sister. Like I do wonder if that right there will happen in this anime or maybe it already happened. But I'm definitely curious about that. But overall, this right here was a very, very strong episode. I loved it. Just seeing like these characters once again, especially animated, because Danganronpa 2 never got, an anime, and I do find that, rather weird. But at least we are getting their backstory. So this episode, like I said, like to me, it was freaking good. That's like a 9 out of 10 in my book because, all the references, like the opening and the ending, to me, it was just so perfect. Like I cannot go on enough just saying how, like, I cannot go on just like, I cannot go on like long enough just saying how good this episode was. But yeah, this review was actually like kind of long, so I do apologize for that. But as always, let me know what you guys thought. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Because it really helps me out. And as always, you guys take it easy. And I will see you all next time.